Two people wake up on the same morning. Same weather outside. Same city. Same problems waiting for them. One of them lies there and immediately begins thinking about everything that could go wrong today. The meeting that might not go well. The conversation that is still unresolved. The money that is still not enough. Before they have even sat up in bed, their mind has already filled with anxious thoughts. The other one lies there and before getting up takes 3 slow breaths. Notices the light coming through the curtains. Thinks of one thing that is real and good and present right now. By the time both of them are standing in the same morning, they are already living in different realities. Not because their circumstances are different. Because their minds went to different places first. The Buddha had a word for the mind that goes before everything else. Citta. It includes your thoughts, your feelings, your intentions, your awareness. And the Buddha taught that Citta is the architect of everything you experience. In Dhammapada it is said that mind is the forerunner of all actions. All that we are arises from our thoughts. With our thoughts we make the world. Everything you experience passes through the filter of your mind before you experience it. And that filter shapes what you see, what you feel, what you choose, what you build, what you destroy, what you hold on to, and what you let go of. Your thoughts do not just reflect your reality. They create it. But because how you think shapes how you see. And how you see shapes every choice you make. And every choice you make shapes the life you live. One thought at a time. Today you will learn 10 Buddhist lessons on the power of the mind. Lesson 1. The mind goes first. Always. Your action began as a thought. Every relationship in your life began as a thought. Every achievement. Every failure. Every choice you made. All of it began in Citta, in your mind. Your quality of your life is created by the quality of your thinking. The Buddha said the mind is like a wheel that follows the ox pulling the cart. Wherever the ox goes, the wheel follows without fail. Wherever your mind goes, your life follows. Your mind leads. Everything else follows. A mind that most of the time thought about fear will produce a life shaped by fear. Not because fearful things keep happening, but because a mind filled with fear will find evidence for fear in everything. Will make choices from fear. The simple reality that what you look for you find. And what you consistently choose you become. A mind that goes toward curiosity and openness produces a completely different life. Same external world. Different choices. Different relationships. Different results. Different experience of being alive. The wheel follows the ox. Always. Where is your mind going right now? Lesson 2. You do not see the world as it is. You see it as you are. 2 monks look at the same river. One sees an obstacle between himself and the village on the other side. Cold water. Slippery rocks. The possibility of falling. The difficulty of crossing. He stands at the edge and feels resistance. The other sees something completely different. Moving water. The sound of it. The way the light catches it. The coolness that will feel good after a long walk in the heat. He steps in without hesitation. Same river. Completely different experience. The Buddha taught that the mind does not experience the world directly, but it sees the world through its filter. You do not see the world as it is. You see it as you are. It means that the way you experience your life right now is not simply a response to what is out there. It is a reflection of what is in here. In Citta. In the mind that is doing the seeing. A mind conditioned by years of negative thinking will find negativity everywhere. Not because the world is negative, but because that is what it has been trained to look for. A mind conditioned by gratitude and honest attention will find evidence for beauty and meaning in the same world. Because it has been trained to look in a different direction. Change the mind and the world changes. Not because the world itself is different. Because the one looking at it is. Lesson 3. Thoughts are seeds. A thought of fear watered with daily attention becomes anxiety. Then chronic anxiety. A thought of gratitude watered with daily attention becomes genuine peace, and finds real and good in almost everything. Not because everything is good, but because the seed was planted and watered and grew into a different way of seeing. It is not about forcing yourself to think happy thoughts. It is about understanding that the thoughts you consistently return to are seeds you are consistently planting. And seeds grow. That is what they do. Regardless of whether you intended to plant them. You have been planting seeds your entire life. Most of them without realizing it. And the life you are living right now is partly the harvest of what was planted years ago. The question is not whether seeds are being planted. They always are. The question is what seeds you are planting right now. Lesson 4. You cannot stop thoughts from arising. Positive thinking says think positive thoughts. Replace negative thoughts with positive ones. Force your mind toward good feelings and away from bad ones. The Buddha said you cannot always control what arises in the mind. Thoughts appear uninvited. Your fear, anger, jealousy, doubt, self-criticism arises without your permission. You are not responsible for every thought that arises. You are responsible for what you do with it once it arrives. The thought that passes through you like a cloud moving across the sky is not your problem. The thought you invite inside. Make tea for. Give a comfortable chair to. Return to again and again throughout the day. That thought is shaping your reality. The monk Santideva wrote, I do not have the ability to control the river, but I can choose which direction to walk along its bank. You cannot stop the river of thought from flowing, but you can choose which direction to walk, which thoughts to follow, which ones to notice and release, which ones to water and which ones to let dry. That is not positive thinking. That is more powerful than positive thinking. That is training the mind. And training the mind is something the Buddha said was possible for every human being who was willing to practice it. Lesson 5. The danger of Papanca. The Buddha taught a concept called Papanca. Papanca means your mind takes one thought and builds an entire world around it. One criticism from someone at work. That is the original thought. Small. Specific. Finished in a moment. But Papanca takes that one criticism and begins to build. They think I am incompetent. Everyone probably thinks the same thing. I have always struggled here. I will probably lose this job. What will I do then? What will people think? What does this say about me? What has it always said about me? One comment. One moment. And Papanca has built an entire architecture of suffering around it. Most of which has nothing to do with what actually happened. This is the mind doing what untrained minds do. Taking a seed and watering it into a forest before you have even noticed the seed was planted. The Buddha did not say stop Papanca through willpower. He said notice it. See it happening. Name it. You are watching it from a small distance. And that small distance is where freedom begins. The next time a difficult thought arrives and you feel the mind beginning to build a world around it, pause. Take one breath. And say quietly, this is Papanca. The original thought was small. What is being built around it is much larger than what actually happened. That noticing will not stop Papanca immediately. But it will begin to weaken its hold. And over time, weakening its hold is exactly how the mind begins to build something different. Lesson 6. What you intend shapes what you experience. The Buddha taught Samma Sankappa. Right intention. Samma and Sankappa means quality of intention you bring to your actions shapes the quality of what those actions produce in your life. Two people can do the exact same thing. One from genuine goodwill. One from the desire to appear generous. The external action looks identical. The internal experience is completely different. Your life built on intentions of genuine care and honest effort produces a different inner experience than a life built on intentions of fear and craving and the need for approval. Even when the external circumstances are similar. Even when the achievements are comparable. Because Citta is not just the thoughts you think. It is the intentions behind the thoughts. The quality of attention you bring to each moment. Most people spend their whole lives focused on what they are doing. The Buddha said pay attention to why. Because the why shapes the experience of the what in ways that the what alone never can. Lesson 7. The mind can be trained. The mind is not fixed. It is not a permanent object. It is a process. And processes can be shaped, directed, trained. The Buddha is the evidence. He was not born enlightened. He was born a prince. A human being with a human mind, with fears and desires and confusions. He did not achieve what he achieved through supernatural gifts. He trained his mind consistently through practice over years. And what he achieved through that training was so significant that it changed not just his own life but the lives of hundreds of millions of people across 2,500 years. If your mind were fixed, that would not be possible. Fixed things do not change. Fixed things do not grow. Your mind is not fixed. It is not permanently negative. Not permanently anxious. These are patterns, habits, ways of thinking that were learned. And what was learned can be unlearned. What was conditioned can be reconditioned. What was built through years of unconscious repetition can be rebuilt through conscious deliberate practice. Not quickly, not easily, but genuinely, completely. You are a human being, with the same Citta, the same capacity, the same potential for training. What are you building with it? Lesson 8. What you give attention to grows. Most people think of attention as simply noticing things, looking at what is there. But attention is an investment. And like all investments, it produces returns. And those returns compound over time. Whatever you consistently give your attention to becomes larger in your experience. Your worry given daily attention grows. Not because more worrying things keep arriving, but because your mind trained in worry becomes skilled at finding things to worry about. You begins to see problems everywhere. In futures that have not happened. In conversations that went fine but you think is slightly wrong if examined with enough anxiety. Gratitude given daily attention also grows. Not because more good things keep arriving, but because your mind trained in noticing what is good becomes skilled at finding good in ordinary moments, in difficult days. The Buddha did not teach gratitude as a feeling. He taught it as a practice. A deliberate daily direction of attention toward what is real and present and good. Not to deny what is difficult, but to ensure that difficulty is not the only thing the mind has been trained to see. Not what have you been experiencing. What have you been choosing to return to? Lesson 9. You do not have to welcome every thought that passes through you. Every human being has dark thoughts. Fearful thoughts, angry thoughts, jealous thoughts, thoughts of hopelessness. The Buddha never taught that enlightened people do not have these thoughts. He never suggested that a trained mind is a mind from which difficult thoughts have been permanently removed. That is not enlightenment. That is not even possible for a human being living in the world. He taught that there is a difference between a thought that passes through you and a thought you build a home in. The thought that arises and is noticed and is allowed to pass is not your problem. It came. It went. It is already gone, leaving nothing behind but the brief moment of its passing. You do not have to live in every thought that passes through you. You are not responsible for every thought that arises. You are not broken because difficult thoughts appear. You are not your thoughts. You are the one noticing them. And the one noticing has a choice. Not about what arrives, but about what is invited to stay. Lesson 10. The mind that created suffering can learn to create peace. The mind is not your enemy. The mind that has been generating suffering is not a broken mind. It is a trained mind. Trained over years of unconscious repetition. Trained by what it was given to practice. By what it was exposed to. Your mind trained in one direction can be trained in another. Not by forcing it. Not by fighting it. There was a monk who came to the Buddha struggling with his mind. he said. I try to meditate, but my mind wanders constantly. I try to think good thoughts and bad ones keep arriving. I try to practice, but the practice feels impossible. I do not know how to change my mind. The Buddha asked him one question. When your mind wanders during meditation, what do you do? The monk said. I bring it back. The Buddha said. And when it wanders again? The monk said. I bring it back again. The Buddha said. That is the practice. The bringing back is not the failure. The bringing back is the practice itself. Every time you notice the mind has wandered and you choose to return, you are training the mind. The way a river trains a new channel. Through patient, consistent return after return after return. That is how the mind that created suffering learns to create peace. Not through one transformation. Through thousands of unremarkable moments of choosing to return. Each return is a thought being planted. You have been living inside your mind your entire life. You just have not always been aware of what was being built in there. Every thought you fed became a habit. Every habit became a way of seeing. Every way of seeing became a life. The mind that created your current reality can create a different one. That is what the Buddha taught. Not think positive thoughts and everything will change. But train your mind and everything will change. Through return after return after return. Because the moment you start paying attention, everything becomes possible. Not because the world changes. Because the mind doing the watching begins to change. And when the mind changes, everything it touches changes with it. That is the power of the mind. Not positive thinking. Something that does not require you to pretend the difficult thoughts are not there. You have to stop giving them the seat of honor. Your thoughts created the life you are living now. Your thoughts are creating the life you will live next. Begin paying attention. Begin choosing what to water. Begin bringing the mind back. Again and again. Without judgment. Without the expectation that it will happen quickly or easily or perfectly. Just begin. That beginning is where everything starts. If this teaching touched something real and you share in the comments what thought you have been giving too much attention to lately. Name it. Write it down. Because naming what we feed is the first step toward choosing what we water. And if you know someone whose mind has been working against them instead of for them, share this with them. Because sometimes the most important thing one person can do for another is simply say, your mind is not your enemy. It is your student. And it has been waiting for you to become its teacher.